Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting edition of the Security Repo Podcast. As always, I'm your host, Dwayne, and we're joined once again by the awesome Kazar. Hey, Kazar.
Hi, everyone.
Looking good as always. We are joined this week by Edna Jonsson, a cybersecurity engineer and SOC analyst with a strong foundation in web development and technical education. Their journey began as a web developer and coding bootcamp instructor, equipping them with a unique blend of technical expertise and passion for mentorship. I know Edna from Wild West Hacking Fest, where we were together just a little bit ago, and where they won not only the CTF, but a black badge for Wild West Hacking Fest, meaning they're a lifelong member and can go back to any of the events for free, which is awesome. Welcome to the show.
Hey, Dwayne. Hi, Kazar. It's so nice to be here. It was such a pleasure to meet you, Dwayne, at the conference. I had a blast. It was really, I love going to Wild West Hacking Fest. It's such a kind and friendly conference. So
It really is. For those of you who don't know or aren't familiar, it's a red team focused conference. Started in the Black Hills, South Dakota, way out in the middle of nowhere in Deadwood. It's like an hour and a half from the closest airport, and highly related to the Black Hills Information Security Group. And it's grown massively. This event we were just at had 800 people in person, plus I don't know how many more hundreds online. It was such a good event. But you won the CTF, Edna.
I did, yes. My team did. So I was on a team with 7 other people, and our team was called "Shall We Play a Game," which is a quote from the movie War Games. And we went into the attack and defense CTF. So there were 2 CTFs this conference. There was the Jeopardy style, and then there was the attack and defend. And there were several other teams, and I just had really great teammates. And together we were able to score the highest and win the CTF. And I even won a black badge. Do you want to see it?
Yeah, you have it with you. Yeah, please. We'd love to see it.
So this is my badge. It's been custom flashed with firmware so that it has like my handle ET and the DC 407 logo, because we were representing DC 407 in the competition.
Now that's DEF CON DC, not District of Columbia.
Correct.
The local DEF CON group. That's really awesome.
Thank
so
you.
For those of you who aren't familiar with Capture the Flag competitions, maybe we could just start there. Could you just give us a super high level overview of like what's involved in a Capture the Flag, in case there's anybody listening that's never been in one?
Sure. A Capture the Flag competition is a scored competition where you are trying to solve problems and answer questions. There's different kinds. Like I mentioned, there was the Jeopardy style where they have a question and you answer. Attack and defend is what I competed in, and that is more like we are defending our castle while attacking other castles. There's also styles like King of the Hill. So there's different variety. You just try to get the most points, and whoever has the most points will win.
That sounds really fun, but what's the practical application of the CTF? Like, where does this help you in a cybersecurity career?
Yeah, so employers in cybersecurity will often look favorably upon somebody that competes in CTFs because you're constantly learning when you're playing. And it's not just during the competition, but outside of the competition, you got to sharpen your knowledge as well. So, for example, when I started with a competition called Over the, what was it called? Oh, Over the Wire. There we go. Which taught you like bash scripting. And then I progressed to like Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, and Blue Team Labs, and just different things that I learned. And anytime that I have a chance to be in a CTF, I jump at the chance. When I was at school, I would participate in NCL, which is the National Cyber League, or CCDC, that's the college competition for it's a defense. Let me see, collegiate cyber defense competition. So all kinds of competitions that I could jump in to learn skills, and that helps you when you go apply for jobs. You can say, I've done these competitions and I've learned these skills, so that it really helps to show that you're not just book learning, but you're also learning practical skills.
All right. Well, I'm going to be honest with you, Edna. I'm not a very good CTF player. I've only participated in two or three, I can't really remember. And honestly, they kind of scare me. So, what tips would you have to a junior CTF player?
Okay, so I used to be scared of CTFs too. I totally get that because you're competing and putting yourself out there, and that can be scary. I've never actually won a CTF until this past week with my team, and I always just have fun playing CTFs. So for me, the like learning and being a part of, sometimes being a part of a team, sometimes just competing with other people, I find very fun. So don't worry too much about like if you're going to win or not. Especially while you're like in the beginning of it. There are people that have been doing CTFs for years. And so if you're competing against those people, just enjoy the competition. And one day you'll get to a point where you get better and you'll start to win, which is exciting. Um, but just take it one step at a time. Try focusing on one thing that you want to learn at a time. So if you want to learn cryptography, steganography, if you want to learn like some of the web challenges, just focus on that for a bit so that you're not spreading yourself thin across multiple domains, and just get good at one thing at a time. That's my recommendation. Does that help answer?
Absolutely does.
Okay.
I do have a follow-up question though. Um, how does your day-to-day job maybe help you increase your skill set, improve your skill set to play CTFs?
So I work in a SOC and I see a lot of alerts and things that I have to research. So sometimes I will have to research something. And in my research, I will learn about a new way that somebody could um, do attacks and stuff like that. So that kind of helps build up your knowledge skills that help you with the CTFs. Um, so it is kind of it feeds into each other. So if you're doing CTFs, you get better at your job, and if you get better at your job, it helps you get better at CTFs.
Well, that actually makes for a really good segue because we didn't talk about what you do day to day. You are currently working in the SOC, the Security Operations Center. Can you tell us a little bit
Yes.
about that journey? Like, how did you get into that?
So I went from web development to the SOC, and even before web development, I started in real estate. So um, when I was in real estate, I was got really into making personalized web pages for houses. And my broker at the time said, "Stop focusing so much on technology. You're trying to sell houses." And I just kind of clicked with me that I really liked IT. And so I moved into web development. And I studied and worked as a software engineer for a bit, and then started teaching at a boot camp. But I watched a video from DEF CON and then started reading. Like, there was this person called Lost who did a write up about a challenge that he had done at DEF CON, and it was so interesting to me. And so I started getting interested in cybersecurity. And then eventually I moved over into the SOC. So it's been really exciting. But I tell people I'm just chasing the dopamine. I find what I enjoy and I just like chase that and go that way.
That must be a really invigorating environment then, because the SOC, from my understanding, I've never worked in a SOC in my life. I don't know about you, Kazar, but it just seems like every day you're going to get a new challenge thrown at you. It's like help desk on steroids is how everyone's always kind of described it to me.
Yeah, it's really fun. I get to do a lot of different things. My manager gives me freedom to um, explore and try to. I get the chance to grow my skills, and I get to learn about so many different things, and it's been a lot of fun.
So, what does an actual day to day look like for those of us that have never actually held that position? What would you consider an average day for you?
So when I come in, I'm a SOC analyst and a cybersecurity engineer. So I'll come in, I'll look at the alerts, make sure that there's nothing major going on. Try to get some of the incidents closed that are open, like evaluating them if they're false positive or true positive, and then what to do with it. But then I'll work on maybe trying to write some playbooks or um, doing things like that. And then sometimes I'll have projects going on as well that I will work on. So I just get to go to the projects, work on that for a bit, and then go back to looking at alerts.
What sort of projects do you work on?
Um, right now I'm working on password checker project, which is it's going to be integrated into our cybersecurity awareness page. That it checks using the Have I Been Pwned um, password database to see if that password matches like breached password. So if it's a commonly breached password, that might not be a good idea to use that in our environment. So we'll like say, hey, this is a commonly breached password, and maybe think of a stronger password to use. Um, Other projects might be like um, some purple team exercises or things like that.
This is brilliant, and I'm quite curious to know, are any of your projects or job requirements not forced onto you, but highly suggested by compliance teams?
Um, for me, no. I don't have the. I have things that we do to meet compliance. Like for example, I help with the table topics exercises, um, but I don't have things that come to me typically from compliance.
All right, Dwayne, shall we move on to Q4?
Yeah. Um, so, one of the other things I wanted to ask you about is something in your bio. We didn't read your full bio out here.
Yeah.
But you can find that in the show notes below. But you mentioned that you had previously hosted something called Security Chipmunks. I'm curious
Yes.
to what's the story with that? Like,
Yeah, so Security Chipmunks, that was my podcast. I'm hopefully going to start it again soon, but that was a podcast that helps people getting started in cybersecurity. So it goes over cybersecurity concepts. I had interviews with people in different fields in the cybersecurity field to introduce, like, this person works in VoIP or this person works in government compliance. So people could explore what careers might look like. We also introduced like what conferences are coming up and how you can get involved in cybersecurity. So it was a lot of fun doing that podcast.
All right. I'd like to go back to your CTF career because you sound like a seasoned CTF player. Can you tell us what's the best story that you've had playing CTFs? The hardest challenge, the most difficult one, the most fun one?
Um, okay, so I just like playing CTFs. I don't know if I'm that much of a seasoned CTF player. But a fun challenge that I had was an OSINT challenge that That was actually at Wild West Hacking Fest in Deadwood in 22. And there was an OSINT challenge. We had been working on it for the, 2 days. And at the very end, we were looking for this house address. We found that we could open up in the Explorer to see the house that was an image on YouTube. And we were able to figure out the address from that, like right there at the very end of the CTF. We were able to figure that out after banging our heads against the wall for the past 2 days.
So you basically play GeoGuessr.
Yeah.
Sounds good. Did you win that CTF?
No, we got 8th place. Like I said, the only CTF that I won is the one that just happened.
But 8th place out of how many?
Oh, I'm sure there was probably like 50 teams. It was
That's
a
not
lot.
too bad.
Yeah.
That's a good performance. Good job.
Thanks.
Well, all right then. Let's move on to my favorite part of the show, the one where we get to ask our guests the same 4 questions. So let's start it off with, what is your favorite security-focused command line tool?
I'm going to say Nmap because Trinity uses Nmap. That's from the Matrix.
Yeah, fair enough. If Trinity uses Nmap, then it's a very cool tool. You are definitely correct. All right. What is the most striking, best question you've been asked in an interview before, interviewing for security positions, of course?
I'd probably say, why do you want to work here? Because it really brings out, you can get as passionate about it as you want. It really tells, do you actually want to work there?
So what do you answer?
It depends on the company.
Of course it does.
But I would talk about if it had exciting opportunities, if they give you freedom to learn and explore new things. That's stuff that I get excited about.
So if the company's boring, you won't work there?
No, I won't. I have actually turned companies down because I thought the job was not going to be fun to me. Yeah.
I'll go ahead and tell your boss you said that.
Okay. You can, yes.
I can, yeah. It's a compliment, actually. That's positive.
Yeah.
Must be good if you're there. That's the logic.
Yes.
So we always ask every guest best security advice they're hearing out there in the world, or that they've given or received, or and then we ask people the worst advice that they've ever heard of. So we'll start with the good. What's the best security advice you see going around out there?
I would say, just as far as the public goes, freeze your credit, because there's so many breaches, and that is just the best way to protect yourself right now, is to freeze your credit.
What do you mean freeze your credit? Sorry.
Okay, so there is, for example, the OMP database breach. There was, I want to say NPD. There was a big breach where social security numbers were in the breach. So if you freeze your credit, it protects you from if somebody wants to try to start a new account in your name or something like that. So freeze your credit. It's going to protect your credit from bad things happening.
Do you do that through your bank or?
There's a website that you can go to get all three credit bureaus. It's on the USA.gov website. They'll link to all 3, but you can go to Equifax, Experian, and TransUnion, and they each have their own process for setting a credit freeze. Some of them are super easy to do.
What is the worst security advice that you're hearing out there in the world?
I'd say because I've been told like to use a Mac to avoid viruses, and that's just not true. So using a Mac that's not the best security advice.
There's other reasons you might want to use a Mac, but security isn't really one of them anymore.
Correct.
The security through obscurity, I think at one point it was when it was like 3% of the entire supply of computers. That was
Right.
pretty obscure. That's how I feel about Fedora. Like I'm not worried about my workstation being attacked, not because it's more secure, but because who's running Fedora 41 at home?
Right.
You know I am, so probably I'll get attacked now. Now our fans are great. But thank you very much for being here. It's been awesome to have you on the show. Here at the end, we always like to open it up for anything you want to tell us about anything going on, organizations you belong to that you want to promote, where we can follow your adventures online, anything.
Okay, sure. So I am involved with several organizations. DEF CON, which is Detection, Engineering, and Threat Hunting Conference. That's an online conference that happens in November 8th and 9th. And it's a workshop-based conference. We have also several like in-person events. So I'm hosting the Orlando site, but we also have Seattle. We're going to have San Diego as well as worldwide sites. That's a fantastic conference if anybody of your listeners wants to join us. I'm also involved with DC 407. That's the DEF CON local Orlando group. And we have both in-person meetings as well as online meetings. Our online meetings are free and available to anybody that would like to join us. I'm also involved with B-Sides Orlando. So if you're in the area, come over, say hi. I'm running Career Village as well as Social Engineering Adventure Village, which is so fun. If you want to find me online, I'm on Blue Sky and X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it today. My handle there is Edna's, and I'd be happy to connect with you.
Excellent. We will make sure all of those links get down in the show notes below.
Thank you.
Guys, are there any final words before we sign off today?
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you on the show today, Edna, and I promise you one day I too will have the DEF CON black badge.
Nice. That's exciting. I love to hear that. Thank
Fingers
you.
crossed.
Yes. Thank you both for having me. It's been such a pleasure.
All right. Well, thanks, everybody. Remember to like and subscribe and tell all your friends about the Security Repo Podcast. Thanks, everybody.